And actually, I mentioned editing just then. Do you is that something you teach? Do you teach your students how to edit their photos, or are they taking photos that don't require editing? As a non-photographer, I don't know much about this, so apologies if that's a daft question.
This is great. I'm glad you're not familiar with it because I can talk to you in the way that I would anyone else. Yes, I do actually teach editing, and the approach I take with non-togs is that it's very simple. You do not need to get into the weeds with trying to figure out Photoshop and Lightroom. Like, that's not necessary. If you want to, you can, and there are some user-friendly programs, but there's actually a few different ones that can be used, and people really only need to focus on like a few different things, like just exposure. If you didn't get it right in your camera, if your image is too dark or it's too bright, you can fix that. And you can fix cropping and making sure it's the right angle and that sort of thing. And you can look at the color temperature or how warm or cold the photo looks. Have you ever taken a photo and you're like, why does this thing look blue? And in real life, it's nice and warm and colorful, but it just looks cold. You can look at a photo and see that pretty easily. And, there's in your Photos app on your phone, there's the section where you can edit your photos. And there's these little sliders, right? And it's the same in most photo editing programs, actually. And they all have the same stuff. So you're looking for those simple little things like exposure and color temperature and, cropping and straightening your image. And that's really all that you need to do. It doesn't have to be complicated at all.
I'm so glad you said that. That's really simple. And that's a really good point about temperature as well, because something I've noticed, and I've definitely brought things before where I've brought something thinking it was maybe going to be a pale blue and then it arrives and it's white and you're like,
Yep.
that's a bit off. And I can see, so that's obviously because they haven't adjusted the temperature of the image. That
Yes,
makes a lot of sense.
exactly.
So these sound like really sensible things for people to check when they're reviewing their photos as well.
Yes, absolutely. And once you start looking at that stuff, you can't unsee it. So you'll get familiar with, okay, my image just needs this, this, and this, and it doesn't have to get complicated, but you'll get familiar with what you think a good photo will look like when you change it. And then you can compare it to what you were doing before. And then you'll just naturally start to gravitate towards making your images look a certain way with a few simple tools.
And it sounds like it's something as well where once you take one lot of product photos and then as you do it more often, you're going to get better. You're going to work out which room's the best for your lighting, like where's the best backdrop.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is something that might sound daunting to anyone who hasn't done it, but once you get started, I assume it just gets easier every time.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. It does feel overwhelming for most people. So it doesn't have to be that way. And just, I think with the right language and the right person showing you that it can be easy, people can adapt to that sort of learning a lot easier than traditional photography education.